Welcome to Patty's World. I'm so excited that you're here. This page is all about you and helping you transform your life. Okay, what I use are the simple steps and techniques and law of attraction approaches that helped me: law of attraction, law of assumption. So, a little bit about me. I went from a single mom at 21 with no money, no job, on welfare, to a successful career in broadcast journalism, to eventually meeting a high-level man who afforded me the opportunity to not work now, and we traveled the world pretty amazingly. And some would say I'm living my dream life if you follow me on some of my other platforms. And really, what I learned is that when I was younger, I grew up in a lack scarcity home or environment with my mom and my dad. And so I repeated that mindset in my life of not having enough, of not being worthy of not being worthy of love, of not being worthy of having money or good things. I didn't think I was good enough. I always walked around feeling less than. And so I repeated that cycle that my mom had. My grandmother was an immigrant. She is from Mexico. I speak fluent Spanish. And so my grandmother was actually a cleaning lady. And I think that carried over into my mom, which impacted me. And in my 20s, I carried a lot of lack of self-worth and a lot of lack of self-esteem and repeated that cycle. And so that's what I grew up around, and that's what I repeated. And eventually, when I found myself at 21 with no money, no job, and on welfare, I had to understand that the person who was responsible for changing her life was me. Now, I wasn't into law of attraction or law of assumption or any manifestation. I just started becoming more conscious and more aware of what successful people were doing, what they were implementing, and I started believing in myself. So without knowing, I started applying the techniques that I'm going to talk about here on this channel, which I thought, I'm worthy of more. I can do more. I know I'm intelligent, and if other people can finish school, I can too. So I went back to school at 21 and graduated college, went to grad school, got into broadcasting, and then repeated that cycle again when I got into broadcasting. I was incredibly intimidated, didn't feel like I belonged. I felt like a fraud. And again, I unknowingly applied those techniques, a lot of self-talking myself, saying, I know I can do this. And repetition, just repetition in my head, really creating new neural pathways in my mind, believing that I was capable of being on TV, of talking on TV, of being a journalist, of being a good journalist, a highly awarded journalist. And eventually I became a main anchor here where I live. And I followed this career, bought my own house, made my own money. But I always struggled in my personal relationships and love relationships. And I'll talk more about that and go really into specifics and deep dive here in the channel. But what I learned about myself at a high level is that I was modeling what was modeled for me when I was a little girl. My abusive dad, who wasn't really there for me, who was absent, and a mother who never felt like she deserved, like she was worthy of anything or being treated well. And so I repeated those patterns. No matter how much I accomplished professionally in my personal lives, I accepted less than treatment. And we know that we get what we tolerate. So I really started working on myself, and that started in my 30s. I started with therapy, but that's when law of attraction came into my life, and I realized, oh, I have a lot of limiting beliefs, and that led me into law of assumption. And I realized, oh, life is a mirror, and people are really just mirroring to me how I feel about myself. So if I feel like I'm not worthy, and I'm not worthy of being loved, and I'm not wanted, and I'm not chosen, and I'm not first best, they're just reflecting that back to me. And I kept on repeating the same situation in different people until I realized, wait a minute here, I'm the common denominator. And that really took me into law of assumption. And I discovered Neville Goddard in my early 40s. And I found a teacher. I was trying to get over a breakup. And I discovered those techniques. And I thought, oh, I have a lot of wounding and limiting beliefs. This is about me. And here's how I changed that. I took the attention off the person, off my ex, and made this about me. I focused on me. I went no contact because I really didn't want to focus on them or talk to them. I went all in on me, and I started meditating, and I started doing affirmations and repetition and self-hypnosis and telling myself I was worthy and that I was worthy of love and that I loved myself. First and foremost, I had to give myself that self-love that for decades I had been looking for other people to give me, including my parents. So it all stemmed from me giving myself that love and that approval and that validation and that sense of worthiness that I wanted other people to give me. And it wasn't a one-time thing. You have to do it every day. It's a life change. It's a mind change. You have to brainwash yourself. And I did it every day. And I meditated morning and night, self-love, self-worth. I cut energetic cords, and I focused on me. And that ex came back begging me. And I did get back with him, and I did marry him. But I never stopped working on myself. I no longer made him the center of my universe. I made myself the center of my world and focused on myself and my life and what I wanted. Because how I treated myself was people were reflecting back to me. And not just in love relationships, but in work, colleagues, family, friendships. So I started paying attention to what people were showing me about myself. And anytime that I was in an unwanted circumstance or I faced a negative situation, I always brought it back to me. Oh, what is this showing me about me? What is this telling me about me? I have a limiting belief. There is a wound there. There's something that I believe that I think it's okay to be treated this way. And I dealt with that. I dealt with myself. And when I changed myself, my identity, who I believed I was, and I raised my standards and I stopped being a people pleaser and I started to believe and live from that identity, my entire outside world changed. And I really shifted my whole life. And it continues shifting and I continue evolving. And I'm just so grateful for it. So as you visit me here and you watch my videos, ask me questions, tell me what you want to talk about, and I'll share with you my personal experiences and what I suggest. But most importantly, what I will always say, it comes down to you. People will reflect back to you how you feel about yourself. And anytime that I now go through something, I work on me, I heal me, and I release people and situations. And sometimes we do outgrow people. Sometimes people will change and level up and come meet us at that new vibrational level where we are. But it always, always comes back to you. But you can absolutely transform your life and live the life of your dreams. And as you continue watching, I'll talk more about that dream life that I keep living every day. Thanks for joining me.